Hi, welcome to Blueprint, the video podcast on B2B marketing. This domain has been developing very dynamically over the last couple of years, but still, I think there are many stereotypes around that, misconceptions. It's often associated with very aggressive LinkedIn message outreach or company gadgets. So I'm organizing this podcast to discuss these stereotypes and to broaden and discuss various facets of B2B marketing. I invite smart minds to do it. And today with me, I've got Daniela Miernik, Creative Director at Clipatize. Hi, Daniela.
Hi, Kuba.
Pleasure having you.
Oh, pleasure being here. Thank you for the smart minds bit.
Well, you've been with Clipatize a number of years now. I wonder, what it took to enter the role of B2B Creative Director.
Oh, well, I think it was some luck and some crazy experience that I brought to the table. I think the combination of both has really worked.
No plan then?
No, it was not. It hardly was my plan to fall into the role in any kind of marketing. In fact, I remember that when I was studying all kinds of things in the past, but it was very popular at the time to study marketing. I was just like, no way. This sounds like the most boring thing.
Like the last resort.
Well, it wasn't even an option for me because I didn't really consider myself in these kind of Excel sheets related topics.
Mm-hmm.
And look at me now. I work in B2B marketing, but I think I made the whole role and the whole environment work for me. The other way around.
That's smart. So what does it take to be a creative director in B2B marketing?
Well, I think it takes more than anything a very open mind. These are not pedestrian topics. They're not consumable topics. It's not your fizzy drink. It's not your washing powder. It's not the everyday stuff. These are often very complex things, very creative ideas, but not very easily sellable, so to speak, because they are so complex. It takes a little longer to wrap your head around them. So for me, that means, I'm constantly challenged and I like a challenge. And I get to work on things that are very meaningful. And I think it's super important in any career to think and know that you work on things that are not, they're not trivial. They're something.
A mission.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little bit delusional about my job, but that's how I
get you. Well, some people say that it's the most boring type of marketing, the B2B one. What do you think about it?
Well, it's not the kind of thing that when you at the dinner table, at a dinner party and people around the table are boasting about the jobs they do and whatnot. If you say you work in B2B marketing, you're not going to see jaws dropping all of a sudden, which is a pity because I think people don't really know what stands behind it.
So what do you actually do?
Exactly. What do I actually do? And then I just explained that, look, I work on really fun stuff, things that are unusual, that are a bit challenging, demanding, but in a good way. And no 2 days are the same. And I guess it's a massive thing to say in any job, unless you like, things being repetitive. But I'm not that kind of a person. So
I see.
I do enjoy it.
So, well, you've got quite some experience. What are the typical misconceptions about B2B marketing?
Well, obviously that it's boring, or that it has very low budgets to play with. This is true. We don't work with budgets that are typical for consumer marketing, but that is another thing that you can either be defeated by, or you can work with it and get creative within the budget, and that is another fun part.
Yeah.
We don't splash the cash. We don't splash the cash left, right, and center. We look at it from every possible angle and think, well, how can we make it work so it's effective, but it doesn't blow the entire budget?
Yeah. And what role does creativity play in B2B marketing? I mean, you work with very advanced products, sometimes very complex ones. Is it even possible to be creative? I mean, you need to put the message across, yeah?
Yes, it's becoming more and more important, prominent. First of all, creativity really comes into that whole territory, which wasn't the case before. I think when B2B marketing started emerging, it was all about, this is what we do, bam, bam, bam. Pretty straightforward and rather boring and not very creative. Just tell the offering.
Even if someone cares, yeah.
Yeah, tell the offering and that's it. We're done. Whereas now, I think the whole category has figured out that, look, if you don't use creativity, you're just going to be the run-of-the-mill message, like a million other messages. Yeah, so try to stand out. When you stand out, you're going to become more effective.
So how do you balance, the creative element and still, the intent to be understood? Well, is there a trade-off even? Yeah.
Well, it's a fine art of balancing, because from the face of the marketing director who actually briefs you for the job. If you've gone a bit too far out with the creativity, they're gonna show you that you maybe gone too far. But it's also down to the I think the courage factor on the side of the client. How far do they want to go? How well do they know their own audience? Mm-hmm. Because that's massively important. Perhaps something that is completely out of the box. Maybe when you first read about this idea, you thought this is bananas. It's completely bonkers. Mm-hmm. But then it turns out that it works. So if it works, that's...
Okay, you need a thumb stopper.
That's the goal, yeah.
From my own experience, I know that clients love the creative part. It's like a break in their routine.
Yeah.
So they like, to join the process. Is it helpful? Is it hurtful? When...
I think a mix of both. Like with anything, it's the art of balance. Sometimes if you have an amazing rapport with the marketing team or the client side, whatever they, let's say, colloquially throw at you, you're like, oh, okay, let me think it through. Let me see how I can incorporate the classic, oh, I like the idea one, I like the idea two. Why don't we bring them together?
Yeah.
It is a classic. And in many cases, it's the art of listening and understanding one another. They don't come to this table ill-equipped. Most of them know the target group. They know the competition. Okay. They know if this is a risky thing to do something crazy or do they want to play it safe. And also sometimes it's the private sentiments. What do they like and where do they see their own marketing strategy going? Because sometimes we help them explore a completely uncharted territory to them, and that's an experience for them, a challenge for us. But sometimes they want to play it safe because they want to keep to a certain bracket, and we find by that as well.
Yeah. So you touched an interesting topic, which is subjectivity. You create ideas, you have preference on one idea over the other. You cannot really fully justify that. How do you manage to, just to defend your idea in the B2B zone when your client is actually well-educated, knows the market, knows the advanced product? And you just start in this area. How do you tackle that?
Well, the ideas are a bit like your babies, right? So when you pitch them, you sometimes have that one that is your preferred, and you kind of pitch it a little harder, see if it's going to tick the box with the client. But if it doesn't tick the box, then it's bad luck. Just figure out something that really does. It's trial and error territory.
I see.
In every possible regard, and that's another thing about B2B, that we do a lot of trying. We sometimes make errors, but a lot of these sort of attempts, this charting of the new territory is exciting.
But this is cool. Let's say this is your call, this is your judgment. On the other hand, data, everyone says data is the new oil. So you need to look at data, justify ideas with data. Is it a part of your job as well, or?
Oh, definitely. In fact, when I recall one of the best briefs that ever landed in my hands, and we won that job as well, that was...
No brand disclosure.
No brand disclosure. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but the thing that was remarkable about it is that they really knew the target group. They had stats for it. and we know what they use. We know what media they actually get involved with. We know what kind of content they consume, if they consume anything, because it was a very non-digital group.
Okay.
So they knew the target group inside out, and they had stats for it. But it was a big company, and whether it was B2C or B2B marketing, they had resources for it. So I don't expect everybody to come to the table with this kind of knowledge.
Exactly, yeah.
But if they do have it, then my word, it really makes everything so much easier.
I think in consumer marketing, because the market is so big, brands typically research the market. They evaluate the consumer's behavior and so on. While in B2B, because the audience is quite small, it's more of a qualitative than quantitative assessment. So you really don't get hard data. You need to kind of invent it and build the narrative, right?
Maybe not invented, but the marketing managers, they tend to know the audience. So
okay.
It's also the matter of me actually, going out, having another debriefing session, asking those questions that I want to know about the target.
Okay.
Most of the time, they know the answers. And if not, then maybe that's something that could be researched. And again, we help with that as well. So why not?
All right. Creativity is all about ideas. It's, as you said, about understanding the market, having the full product insight or customer insight, but it's also about ideas. Where do you look for ideas? I mean, can you really trigger the process?
Yes, you can. There are some ways in which you can do it. I don't know if I should be disclosing what these are, yeah?
Share the knowledge, yeah. That's what thought leaders do.
Okay, well, in my case, I think I have a pretty solid resource of ideas that I've been collecting over the years.
In your secret box?
In a kind of a secret stash, yeah. Not very secret, but...
Can you disclose anything to our guests?
Yeah, well, of course. I have been working with healthcare clients for so long that I have a large resource of ideas that I stumble upon in my daily activities, and I save them for the future because I feel that there's something there that if I carried on exploring it.
So it's like bookmarks, or is, I don't know, YouTube or Vimeo?
I'm a big Pinterest fan.
All right.
So I have various boards. These are often boards that are assigned to a specific client, their specific projects, their specific products.
Okay.
And that's how I manage.
So it's not like, it sounds like it's not an epiphany, it's a process.
It can be an epiphany as well, so much so that I can...
No direct answers today.
I can run it out of myself. So sometimes if I'm stuck in the ruts and I keep thinking about something, because you have to sleep on an idea most of the time. Some will come to you immediately, but I think most of them will be worthy of the bin. Yeah.
Next day they don't seem so amazing.
Maybe they seem so in this given second, but... then you read them and you're like, oh, okay, maybe not.
Okay, so it looks like it's a very diligent process.
You have to give yourself time. And
resources.
Yeah. And get inspired. I think inspiration is key. So if you do like me and you have a relatively methodical approach, when you have those clients who are recurring, you know them, you understand the business, then you can really collect those ideas, things that spring to your mind. I just draw a little sketch, whack it into my Pinterest, and I have it ready for the future because I know that it may suit whatever project in the future. And
then in that case, you actually come to the table knowing a bit more than the client because you know other campaigns, the market on the marketing side.
Obviously, I'm subscribed to however many different newsletters and check however many different websites. It's very passé these days, but I still watch TV. And I watch those adverts too.
That's old school.
So it is old school, but it's, how you see how things are done, what are the production methods, what are the techniques, what is the creative scope that you can draw inspiration from. I'm not saying copy the stuff, but get inspired by it.
Yeah. So now you kind of, I think, again, refer to the consumer, which... consumer marketing is, often very emotional. It's very colloquial, bombastic, and so on. How about B2B marketing? Is it all about serious stuff, or do you see any opportunity in this area?
It's changing. It's taking a whole new shape, and I'm encouraging it big time because I do like seeing this change. So I mentioned before that it was all about explanation and stats and showing graphs and things like these, and things have really taken a major turn. So I definitely encourage those who have products that are a little bit more, I would say, humanistic, and the audience is tested and checked and can actually, take in something that is a bit more mellow when it comes to the message.
Any brands that you recall that were able, to actually be a bit more humane or emotional in B2B?
Am I allowed to name drop?
Your ideas, references you saw online.
Okay, well, for example, something that I've been recently recalling was, I think, Toshiba. So again, electric devices doesn't seem to be particularly sexy, but they used visual language that was completely consumer-like. Right. Talking about products that are non-consumer in a consumer way, involving emotion, making people sing and dance about engines. And I thought, this is brilliant.
Amazing.
It sticks with you.
It takes the courage, no?
Yes, it takes courage of the marketer. It takes courage of the audience as well. Is the audience open, or is it open to be challenged like that? And if all the puzzles align, you get something amazing.
Yeah. On the other hand, I've seen many cases when during the first meeting we heard, well, let's go out of the box, and then on the next one,
let's retract back to the box.
Let's get back in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's also my job is to give people more than one idea, and out of those few ideas, probably one is a bit out of the box, one is sort of comfortably in the middle, and one is completely bananas. And somewhere in between, they can figure out where do they sit and where do they see their brand. Yeah. I'm not going to force anything. And like I said, if I hear, mix and match the first idea with the second, it doesn't make me pull my hair out. I question myself, what is it that they want? What can I give them? And how can I redesign this concept so that it really ticks all the boxes for them?
I see. Anything that scares you as a creative director? There are many new technologies, artificial intelligence-based, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Firefly. How does it change the game?
I don't think they're necessarily scary. Some of them are actually helping me a lot. I used to spend an awful lot of time double-checking everything that was written. Just tons and tons of words. And now somebody... something does it for me. So hey, I don't mind. I suppose it's a challenge. It's like any new thing coming in. People were probably scared when VHS cassettes were coming in, and look what happened.
Look where they are now.
Oh no, I'm just joking. It's
the internet will pass through. Yeah,
a risk, an opportunity, all packed together. It's however you look at it. Is it going to help you? If it is, then,
okay.
Good on you.
So I understand it's a part of your toolkit now, yeah?
I don't bounce my ideas of ChatGPT. I don't have to be double-checking my ideas with artificial intelligence. But, yeah, there are certain things that it makes my work lighter.
Great. So with ChatGPT, you said Pinterest. Anything else that you think could be useful if you're working on?
We're being joined by the dog.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yes, Grammarly. Even in the olden days, I used to use special software that was checking whether my writing is consistent and all that. So I still run my copy through things like these to make sure that I don't waffle on about anything.
And anything else? Let's say if you are working on a concept of a B2B campaign, anything that you think could be helpful in the process?
Like I said, I do check an absolute myriad of different sources. There are resources that show you past campaigns. There's a fantastic resource called WARC, WARC, and they run consistent archive of all kinds of campaigns. So you can search by topic, theme.
Okay.
I don't know, region, brands, what have you, just a million different filters. So every now and then I have a look at those things as well. And I try to keep my fingers on the pulse, checking what's going on.
Plus TV.
Plus TV. I know, it's baffling. If I were to add that on top of that, I don't watch Netflix, then yeah, it makes me sound very old.
Right.
But
Fair enough. Yes, it helps. How has the B2B marketing landscape evolved in the last couple of years?
I think in the past it was more about one type of content.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Which was?
Mainly videos, maybe like larger pieces of writing.
So like single asset?
Yeah, I would say a single asset campaign. You put everything into that one piece of asset and that's it. Whereas now you have a ton of different little snippets.
All right.
Altogether, they create something that is maybe not 360, but
okay,
it's pretty broad. So it touches many different channels.
So does it mean different channels as well? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you name a couple of those that you typically work on?
Well, again, in the past it was Facebook, LinkedIn. That would be it. But now we're even talking TikTok for B2B brands. Really? And it's not completely crazy. It's actually, let's not live in the dream world. People who were born in the year 2000, they are, they become marketers now. And They are consumers of channels like these.
Meet the clients where they are, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there are more and more channels, more and more ways to reach out to the audience. But the audience is more selective now, so they won't just...
Okay, so don't be average, yeah?
Don't be average because they're just going to scroll right through you and won't even blink.
Mm-hmm. That also feels like, and tell me that this is right, that the campaigns are like, let's say B2B marketing is a long haul game. Like, so it's not like one off. Let's say we publish a video and then everyone is, yeah, done. But it looks like it's a process. It's a long-term activity.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that you have to consider because you had these crazy funnels. I'm not going to outline the theory of marketing right now, but there's a stage of nurturing, the stage of sales, and it's not as instant as it is in B2C. You don't come to the shop, see a drink on the shelf, and immediately buy it and drink it.
Yeah.
It's a long
Takes
process.
Time to buy, yeah.
It's a long process of consideration. Only then, after however much effort, comes the purchase. And our role is to create assets for the marketer to use at every possible stage of this campaign, so that you really nurture this potential client.
So the brand should
sales at the end.
The brands actually anticipate all potential behavior from the B2B customers, and they need to be ready with content for every possible stage of the sales process.
The wider you go, the better.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not snappy like B2C. So I don't think that marketers expect snappy results. It's a longer game.
Daniela, I know that you often work across geographies with global brands or global products. Is it possible to have like a generic global campaign, or you need to, approach it differently to have like, geography focused approaches?
Well, as much as we are a global village, I think there's still plenty of room for cultural differences and different culture approaches. I remember us working on marketing for a healthcare company, and we were talking still about the Middle Eastern region. However, within the Middle Eastern region, the moment you start portraying people, you certainly have a ton of different options of the veiling for women, the clothing for men.
It looks like one region.
Setup.
Looks like one region only from the perspective of Europe. Yeah, but when you go to this location, you actually see a variety of...
And you also don't want to, if you put out a piece of content, you don't want to come across as somebody who's an ignorant, a cultural ignorant. I heard a case of, it's a funny one, a weird one, but something that didn't culturally translate. In an advert, there was a man in the States who, upon leaving the florist, was holding the bunch of flowers in a piece of paper facing downwards. And that was immediately understood as, him being a foreigner, somebody out of this context, not in this place. So to the observer, to somebody who consumes this piece of content, you suddenly come across as not genuine, that there's something dodgy going on.
Okay. So, imported from the corpse.
Exactly, yeah. So there are certain things that you can do, and animation allows for that greatly, that you can create a piece of content that is very universal, but there's always room for some kind of cultural differences that you have to account for.
I see. Okay, let's look for some advice for our clients, what they could take a look at when working with the creative team, with the creative director. What are the essentials from your perspective for the benefit of their project? Yeah,
obviously, yes. Well, definitely a good brief. This is where every marketer.
What does it mean, a good brief?
Share whatever you know about the product you want to have promoted. If you have statistics, if you have data, don't be shy to share it. Give examples of what you've been doing in the past. What wasn't effective? That also gives a lot of insight. Do you have market insights? Do you get these little snippets of what your clients are saying about your product or your solutions? Because these can literally open up the whole campaign. They like a guiding light. So you just follow with that little snippet and it just carries you through. So things like these, obviously, in a brief.
How about objectives? I know this area is sometimes vague. I mean, some clients are pushing for commercial results of the campaign, like sales. Some of those would say awareness, which is a bit vague. We don't really know how to measure that. I mean, there are many ways to do it. So can you discuss the goal part of the project that you're working on?
Well, obviously, that's part of the briefing/debriefing. But yes, well, definitely, if you come to the table, you want your product, your solution promoted, you should know what is your objective. Where do you want it to go?
Okay. This sounds a bit iterative. So it sounds like it's not a one-off process, like one-off event that you speak with the client, but you said debriefing. So it means like
it's a dialogue or anything particularly good comes out from maybe this kind of creative dictatorship of the agency. Nice. I fully believe that this is a back and forth. So if you are a marketer looking to hire an agency, I think it's like dating. If you feel chemistry to these people, if you feel that they understand what you're saying, that they get your product, then you're home, you're in good hands. But if you need to be explaining yourself and they trying to fool you around, taking you to fancy dinners and doing a song and dance, but they don't really get you, then don't go for it, be smarter than that.
That's why swipe right.
Don't be fooled by, all that glitters and golds, because it's not the way. And the same goes for some agencies. I would call it a thirst for awards. So sometimes the clients are literally poached by agencies because they're looking for something that they know that they can create a catchy campaign. It doesn't necessarily have to be effective, nor should it be particularly good for the client.
It's just impressive, right?
It just has to be impressive. It has to cost a lot of money. So they have something for the portfolio that makes them look one way or another. So as a marketer, you eventually become the agency's goal and your goals are somehow omitted. So I think when choosing an agency, beware of, where do you stand in the whole process? Are you important because client is the most important thing in it? Or do you feel like you may be secondary to somebody else's ambitions?
Well, the client is the most important. I think this is a nice summary.
I would say so, yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniela.
Thank you as well.